let's start again. So what I'm gonna do is like extract this component and actually refactor it to be a proper component instead of inlining everything here, because it's not cool. Route with like it's not cool. But you, just like I want to make you aware that these are classes, functions. You can pass them around, like manipulate them. Okay. So I will have like actually I will change this home and rename it to be home page. Okay. Yes, so it will be home page. I don't know if I already start recording on this. Yeah, cool. There's no one to remind me.
I'm really happy.
Yeah, he's super happy. So we have like home and no, we'll put it here, home. So we will delete this one. Okay, we will like imagine a scenario where let's say we have like requirements where we want to build web page, or not web page, like web app, or I don't know how it's called, website, but modern website, like really with client side rendering for the Hacker Future in Copenhagen. Okay, so we will imagine that we have 3 routes. So the first route will be like a homepage. So when you visit localhost, let's say localhost is like, it's hackerfuture.com or .dk. This we will say, oh hello, we are Hacker Future and stuff, and we will have two other links, or no, we will have like another link for listing all the users in. No, we'll have 2 links. We will have one link for listing actually all the. All the we can list courses, but I'm more interested in, for example, the let's say mentors. I don't want you. I just like users. Users. So we want to load all the users, mentors, students, anyone inside the organization. And when you click on one of these, like we will navigate to another route that will actually render the repositories related to this user. Make sense? So we will have 3 routes. The presentation route, kind of, oh hello, we are like Hacker Future, and we have a second one called slash let's say users, and we have another one, let's say, called repos for each user. So here we will not list all the repos, but all. So we will just start with this. We'll start with slash. So we will go here and we will say about us. We are Hack Your Future people. Okay? And here we will say go to users. All users. Okay? It's fairly simple. But users is just rendering homepage. So it's the same component. So if we will go here, about us, we are Hacker Future people. If you go to all users, it will just take you to the same component, because we are rendering the same component for this and this. Okay? Clear? So we already have the home. Now we need like a page where we can load data for all the mentors, kind of. So we will go to change this. So let's say like users. Let's say Hack Your Future users. This is a component. Okay. We'll create this component, new file, hackerfuture.js, hackerfuture. Okay. Import React from React. Class this from extension. Sorry. instance React dot component. We have render. Let's say return users. Okay, and we export it, so we can actually import it from another file. Export default hack your future users. Okay. So it's not defined because here we are not importing it. So we say import Hacker future users from components Hacker future users.
Is there a way to import all the components inside specific folder?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
folders
We use this convention in my company.
Yeah.
So what we do actually is we in each folder we create a new file called index.js. Let me show you really fast. It's interesting questions. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because we have my project, but let me show you. So here you will have like import hack your future users from hack your future because we are inside the component. Okay, and we import components. We import like homepage. Sorry.
So we have to list each component inside.
Precisely, and we export them again. And here we will say export. Mesh like we will not use default, but we will use like homepage. And home page, yeah. Like this. So now actually, from index, you want to use this or you prefer the other one?
We can try this one.
Yeah, I will comment this, and I will say import
Components.
from components. If it's /index, you don't need to mention /index because everything is by default index. Okay, so you can say here like hack your future and homepage. But it's just like it's nothing magic here. You just create a new index file and you list it. So don't overthink how to actually do this. Oh, it's complex. No, just think about the basics. How you are importing, how you are exporting, and reuse these basics to build more.
I didn't know that everything is indexed by default. Right?
Yeah, everything is
like I shouldn't try the word index.
Yeah, programming is about try a lot.
Yeah.
So you can break the rules that is inside your mind if it's wrong, and you can actually put more convention if it's correct. So you try. If you have an assumption that it's like wrong, you will break it by trying, and if it's correct, you will enforce it, and you will learn more. So trying, like programming is about trying. The most like kind of talented programmer around the world, they are not smart people because like mathematics maybe. Like there's like people who grow up in like mathematics like home when they use whatever, but computers no one actually can kind of born with all how Java works or how JavaScript works or prototype and function. No, it's something you are curious by learning.
Trying.
Yeah, try a lot.
Of course, they are pretty smart, but what he means is that
They become smarter by trying a lot.
But they try a lot.
Yeah, so they like each case that you think about, they already tried it. They tried mixing JavaScript with the browser, with C++, they just tried. They keep hacking. You know? So they build really smart mind. They know all the possibilities. They know so for example, if they know how the browser works. Why? Because they can go inside the code of the browser and read it. You can get the code of the browser in GitHub. The Chrome browser. They can read it. So when you see someone talking in a conference that he knows how the browser works, it's not smart. He tried. He knows. He read the code.
He tried.
It is
tried.
smart, but
smart in the sense of like
magic.
Exactly. It's not magic. Yeah, it's smart. You become smarter. You become smarter. It's smart, but it's smart in the sense of you know the path how to become like him. Make sense? Someone who's, for example, me. Maybe you will see me or Hugo typing really fast in React, and I know where to put state. But believe me, 1 year because I've started learning React 1 year and a half ago or 2 years. I was like, believe me, I went to this page. I will take citing, but I went to this page, React, JS, I went to this page before and I didn't know anything about React. Literally, I was like in this page. What's this? It's cool. I want to learn it because like I wanted to change my job and stuff. I was doing server side and backend, so I want to learn. I didn't have any idea. So I started practicing. Practice a lot. This is the key. And if you see yourself, I don't know this. He knows better than me and stuff. He practiced more than you, so you can practice more and become like you should seek like kind of like path from people. So you of course you should be competitive, but you should not say oh they are better than me. No, like you should see they are better than me in the sense I need to kind of work harder, but not in the sense I want to be better than everyone. No, you cannot be better than everyone because everyone has his own skills. If you are focusing on React, someone else is focusing on Angular or on backend or Node.js. So we are trying to merge skills. So just practice a lot. There's the key. There's no other things. Programming is about practice, a lot. So is it clear? So we have users now. So if we go to this, we are Hug Future. All users, we have users. So in users, we need to actually put the call and stuff. Or okay. So this actually would be your job. So you will do that. You will finish this component. Okay. So what's your job now? Is to I will push this code now, and you will clone it, or you will pull it if you already have the repo, and you will create. You will not create. You can just work on the same branch because you will not override mine. But what you will do is you will load all the users from the GitHub Hug Future GitHub organization, and you will list them. So one request for loading users, and you just display them. Make sense? Is it clear? You already did a lot of requests. So I will just like help you with something. So I will push this code so you can clone it and start working it. Git status. Skull with coffee.
Why? It's cool.
Yeah, so you will do this. Just a second, I will give you the So I've pushed now, and your job will be to do this. So you will run this command, git clone. So usually you just say git clone without b fifth distinct. Okay. So this means like because we have a lot of branches here, we discussed that every branch means like a class or a week. So we want to clone this week. Okay, follow me please. You want to clone this week. So you will say like clone this specific branch. So git clone -b fifth class, which is the branch that we are interested in, and you will say github. Here. So you have around 20 minutes to do it. You can copy it from Slack. Some people are looking at it here. Just go to Slack and copy it. Like, come on, be smarter. Easy. Like you should be lazy. This is the key. Just be lazy. Go and copy it. Don't type it. Laziness is the key.
Yourself.
Laziness is the key.
Find the software.
But please, what?
So make sure you have the quality access right.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, just a second.
Sam,
Just a second. I think I made some.
give us the permission, dude.
I will not give you the permission.
Come on.
No.
That's cool. It's a phone. It does like
Try this.
What?
I took my time.
Yes, Richard will help us. Richard will help us.
What's the problem?
Yeah. So instead of using the because I give them like the ticket, just use the URL. So Richard will help us. Thank you, Richard. Easy hack. So please, but clone this in a separate project. This is a separate project. You are cloning it inside the project, maybe.
No. No, I have like this.
Okay. You know the computer level.
It's okay.
What was the problem with it before? Yeah?
Because I use the get one, and like the get one requires like permissions.
SSH.
Yeah, the SSH permissions. Instead of
I got it.
Hmm?
It worked for me.
work for me.
Because you probably have you set up the SSH in your
Yeah. I already use. You can push without password. This is the trick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can push it.
So yeah, you have SSH. Yeah. Cool. Did you clone it? All of you?
Yeah.
So open the project and start working on it. You cloned it?
Yeah. So go to the folder.
You can use this actually.
Four. I have that three to move things.
Just a second, I'm coming.
Need help? Anybody? I can find. Sorry? I can find the site. It's fine.
Wait a minute.
You can say you can
But I'm
go
not
to
inside.
go inside.
Yeah.
CPU. Yeah.
See.
Just a second. Stop.
I don't have it.
So you.
That's okay.
I don't know why. Yeah, I have it.
Just
So
search for that to React in this
Fifth class, and now you can say code.
Okay, yeah.
Don't
Search for copy.
No, you don't have it. I'm sorry. So go and open it.
So like our task is to display all users from
From
And the way you do that is by
accurate feature.
just a second.
API.
I will just Google it. I'm like you. I don't know.
I was thinking of this.
That's a quick access.
Yeah, organization members.
Search in here.
So you can say API.github
Is that one?
or so we have Hacker Future CPH. This is the name of the organization.
Yes, I think it's. Okay, so.
So Hacker Future members.
You want to open it in the.
Yes, it works. Cool. I will give you. No, I will not give you the. I'm sorry. It's my own creation.
So you would have happened and Visual Studio. You were using both. Because
This is the URL.
I can like this.
yeah, I'm wasting my time.
Don't-
This
do
is
you?
meta work.
Yes.
Don't do meta work. Do
Yeah.
work, not meta work.
I'll close all projects.
I did.
Can I?
Did you run the project? Try to run it. Run the project first and see my result and try to navigate. Please double check every step you do. Otherwise you will find yourself like locked in a room with a lot of complex stuff. So validate every step, validate every step, validate.
You can open a new improvement.
Try to run the project.
Yeah,
You try.
I run it.
Oh,
Okay, cool.
okay.
Did you run it?
No, what's the command?
Yeah, of course, it's just your stuff. NPM stuff.
It's a narrow.
Before- Open the one you were.
Yeah, before you need to actually
Oh, wait,
NPM install.
NPM install. You need NPM install first because it's like a new project. You need to
You
install
can
the
try
whole
to
project.
see there where it is.
Just NPM install, just NPM install. It will install everything automatically.
So whenever you
Because
import,
NPM install will check the package.json
like all the modules
and
are
see
not-
that you need this and this and this and this. You can install it.
He pushed all the. No, he don't push the NPM modules to GitHub. I only push
Yeah,
the
there,
main
go there.
I push like the list of dependencies. You need React and React DOM and React Router. But it's your job to install them. So I just tell you, it's like
You should not have it there.
instead of giving
Take
you
it out.
food, I give you the recipe of the food.
No.
And you have the recipe, and you can just build the food again. You know what I mean?
Even when we upload, like we use git ignore. Did you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same thing we did.
Did you issue NPM install?
I can move it to wherever. Where do you want to be? In here? And? Here?
You should never run NPM install.
Really?
I will tell you a scary story.
Oh, NPM.
Go to GitHub, go to Chrome.
Chrome?
Yeah, while you are waiting, go to Chrome and type rimraf,
And you know,
rim, R-I
it's,
and
Okay, but
Rough.
this one is the other one, huh?
yes.
yeah, all.
And
So,
No,
what you-
not space.
and
Yes.
this one, .org, I have.
This shit actually it was in GitHub, like the first thing. Yeah, it's
don't use the command. No, don't use the command.
Go, this is like an NPM module, install it. Go to
You need
package.json.
to use.
So every NPM module actually has like some. So if you want to do, if you have an NPM module like React and you want to do something before the user installing, so when you say NPM install React, React can execute stuff before installation or after installation. It's like something maybe it needs to create folders or something. This package pre-install before installation. It will remove all your links.
Wow. All what?
You know error
Yeah.
remove
No,
recursive
no.
slash
What?
slash
First of all,
everything.
If you use ls, you can see
Remove
what
first,
is.
like.
So here we
everything.
have git users and git run.
Yes. They removed it from NPM. But it was in NPM. People tried to install it.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm fucking this one. Why would they do that?
He was just saying that. But if you don't run it with the sudo, it cannot do that.
Yeah, sure.
But you are running it with sudo. That's dangerous. You should not
Yeah.
run sudo to everyone.
It's a permission.
Yeah, we are in the. And I want to run this car.
Okay. So,
Cool.
Are you running the project?
Yeah. See.
but isn't this in another folder? Because the one we copied is in D. This is just.
Yes, it's another.
Fast.
This, what
You have 15 minutes.
Oh,
You have 15 minutes. It's an easy task. Come on. You can do more.
Now this one,
Sorry? Why do you want to run this one?
the old one,
Why?
because I haven't run. I couldn't run. Good.
Okay. This file is being deleted for some reason. You want to save it or no? Wait, but then everything will disappear if you don't save it.
Okay.
Right? Everything, or I mean everything is this. Like you,
Okay, but just tell me which way.
just copy all of it.
Okay, but just it's the way you run the car.
Yeah, the way I run is correct, but what's happening here is that it doesn't find the index.js.
Because I didn't know the way
Okay.
to run.
So,
So the way is, you, first of all, you always need to be in the folder.
But the task is
Yeah.
to actually fetch the user.
You can
from
do
GitHub.
npm install, to install the dependencies, and you do after, and after that you do npm
No,
install.
but I'm just saying that the
That
link
will
doesn't
execute.
look like
The way for you to
What
see
I'm
how it's done
saying
is
is
here.
like-
Go here.
You use the
In
state.
package JSON.
Use the
Let's-
state
let's
to actually
say-
fetch users. Remember? Remember how we fetched user last time?
No, I haven't done the last
So in package JSON you have your scripts. So you need to run
The last
npm
class you were here.
Yeah.
run
So you remember last
In
class
this
when we
case,
did
it would be
the
start. Right?
when we like, did the
and
constructor
start
and it's
starts the
in the
project.
constructor we
And
need to
so
have the state.
React script start.
You can just
So-
keep it. So in the class we
npm
did
run
constructor,
start
this
and
class-
you can always come to the
no,
package
no,
JSON
no, no,
and
no,
see
no,
what are the
just create
the scripts
Create
that you
constructor
can
with
run
this
from
class.
here.
NPM, just NPM stuff.
let's create a constructor.
NPM,
No, we create a constructor. of course.
Run start. So for example,
I have to
No, no, of course, no worries, no worries, no worries. You do it once and you remember. No worries. So inside the class, you create like a function.
so
So
here
you give it, it will take
you
props,
can try again
constructor.
because you say npm start also works actually. You don't need to do npm run.
Okay, so you just like create the basis for function.
Okay.
Yeah, like
That's
Like
fine,
function.
fine, fine.
no idea.
Because I have moved this index.
Yeah, you move it. Exactly.
And you say super
Because
props.
You need to do
Super, it's a function you call it.
it's inside.
No, you call super. It's not type super.
It's, I don't think it's enough.
And
It
you
needs
call
to
it
be
as a
outside of
function.
the SRC.
You call it.
You need SRC
Yeah, exactly.
means
And you
source.
pass props to it.
It needs to be inside, outside.
Precisely.
No, actually, it's inside.
So
of
now
the
you
source.
have a fully working constructor of your
So
class.
if you
Now what do you want to do? Like when you fetch the stuff, you want to put them inside the state. Because every time you want the so when you load stuff, so
now
in the beginning when you React will render it up, you will not have data. You are still waiting for the data.
Yeah.
So when we are fetching the data, we need to change something and the view will render the new data.
So the files need
So
to be.
this is like the key
Okay, then
of the state. So we use state. So you initialize state here. You say this is state.
You cannot find that.
So we want to put state here. Equal.
Go back.
It's an object. State. It's always an object.
No, it's not so.
It's an object. It's,
Remove it.
yeah. It's not an array. It's an object. That's
Exactly.
an array.
Then it will work. You need to save and it will work.
Like this.
No, no, no. It's
And
already
inside
running.
it, now what do we want to keep track of? Let's say we need the users. So you create an users and you give it like an array empty array.
API.
Users. So users and empty array. Now this is an object.
Yeah, I wanna get
The
the
API is being imported somewhere. No.
Just use
Investigate and logs.
Probably.
What the?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And the other one, maybe. Yeah,
Precisely. Precisely. So look, now we have like a place where we can put the users we load from GitHub. Now it's your job to actually use the life cycle.
Yeah.
So you say component did mode.
Because you need to get out of this.
Component did mode.
So the two
So
dots
you will type here component
plus
did mode. inside the component
means
did
that
mode
you get out of this
a fetch request from
directory,
GitHub.
which is components,
And when the dev will
the thing
solve,
is
or when the prompt will
that you are
solve,
importing
you will
this.
say set state and the new users. So try to do that.
Okay. That should be
You are not calling the function here. You don't. You are just saying function.
Yes.
It's a function.
Thank you. How's my user? Cool. You have this for user.
good.
That's crazy.
Let's see again what it says. Source API.
How is
So
it?
the same video is like making a new class for user,
No, I already created the class, remember?
but not for user.
I already, it's here.
Mm.
Explore the project before start working on it, please. We discussed that we have two classes, so
Yeah.
copy the stuff from your dot class into this class. Not everything, just the constructor and stuff. You don't want to
Ah.
duplicate the class
Mm.
and delete one.
Okay. Yeah, that's the problem. It's here, right? What is this?
So how we usually, like, just a second, how we usually fetch data in
Where
React?
is this coming from?
Everyone, attention please, attention please.
Can you just-
How we usually fetch data in React? How we do that?
Fetch.
No, the fetch you use it even in jQuery or you use it everywhere in fetch. It's not specific to React. How we manage the data fetching in React?
We put it in a component.
Of course, everything is a component in React. I need something specific, like how, like the
API.
yeah, of course, but how we do that, like in details. We did this so many times, like, and you even did some exercises on homework. So I would like to hear from you. At least we touch that again. So we usually we put the result of the API inside the state,
Yes.
and whenever we talk about the state, we need to initialize it. So you always initialize the state.
Yeah.
You always initialize the state. And once you initialize the state, you give it like an empty user. You give it an empty user, not users. You give it empty data. So if your API result will be an object, you put an empty object. If your API result will be an empty array, you put an empty array. After that, in the component did mount, when your component will be done mounting, component did mount, you issue the fetch with the function that you create separately or inside it, but you use fetch, URL, and then. And inside it then you will get the data, because the then will call when you get the data. Inside it you can call set state with the new data. And in the render method you can say, for example, this dot state dot something that you put in the state, you map over it or you just show it, up to you. Usually you map over it if it's an array. But this dot state dot users, let's say for example in our case this is dot state dot users, you will not handle it in the render. It will change automatically when the then will resolve. Okay? Remember this, you did it so many times. You need to keep these concepts in your mind. Read your code and say, this is how we fit. Because this is kind of idioms, like this is kind of conventions you will be doing all the time when using React. Make sense? This is your job now, is to do that. You initialize the state, you say component did mount, remember lifecycle, component did mount, inside it you do the fetch request. And you say set state. And in the render you just iterate over the users. You just literally iterate over the users.
What is the issue here? Can you see what is the issue?
It's because I didn't want to.
No. My question,
Okay.
you can explain, but I don't want you to, at the moment I don't want you to explain me what is the problem that we're having here. Can you, for example, it actually tells you. Listen. If you, yeah. We can, this is not used because you are declaring another one.
Yes. Now
With the same name. So,
Okay.
this can be considered variable sharing. I mean, you have two variables with the same names. Okay. Like if I'm calling you with your name, and I'm calling another person here with the same name than you, which of you are going to look at me?
Both.
It's confusing, right?
Yes.
It's the same for the program. If you have two variables with the same name, what's happening here in this case is that it's actually not disregarding this
Okay.
variable, right?
So
Disregarding this variable. So what you
That's
could
good.
do, you could try, for example, so you always need to take into consideration that you cannot have variables with the exact same name. Never. Okay? I mean, it's not a good principle. Of course, there's different kind of scopes, but as a
So this is
principle,
confusing.
yeah, it can be. So, let's see what it is now. I'll do all this. Okay. So now is another problem, right? The problem is that for some reason you place the so you're placing this file outside of the scope
Yes.
of this, which is an issue. Right? everything needs to be inside the source folder. I mean, you could have other ways, but for the sake of simplicity, it's not a good idea to have a folder outside. So you are trying to get stuff from a folder which is outside of the source folder. Okay? And that's exactly what this. I mean, that's exactly what it says here.
Yeah, you have three
You
users
attempt to
before. Yeah,
push
sure.
folder
I
outside
try
of
to
the
know more,
project
but
source
it
folder.
doesn't really.
Before it's telling you exactly what is wrong if you read it.
Yes. Not okay.
You can see here. You can see the
So if,
fetch
for
post,
example,
fetch post is function, but
I don't know exactly why you
It's just,
decided to
you can
have
open
like
fetch
this,
post and
but
say fetch.
I mean, why
API,
not
remember
just
the
have
fetch?
the
You give it the URL they have
because
posted
you
there.
only use it in one
Remember
place.
the URL they have posted.
So you don't need-
fetch, and you say then
You could have this if you
Response
use it in
JSON.
other places.
and after that
You don't need it.
and you say this.state.
You don't need
These
it
are
everywhere
for
else.
example. You can
So
see
in
the
this
URL
case,
is like
what I would
this.
do is I would
The link
delete this,
component did not. They are.
and I would just use this.
What?
No, not the old one. Because
And you try to kind of.
it's the same
Yeah,
where
you can
else.
say on
You don't need this.
It's really a single page.
It's the same.
You know what I mean? You just.
It's nice. This is,
What?
yeah, it's nice.
It's super nice and easy. Like it's really easy.
Right.
I was going.
I think it's going to
Yeah, we just want. You just remove the keywords because we are just all the members.
okay.
There's no keyword to search about it. We are just in all.
Can I do search instead?
It's a very good
So,
model.
but now, if you try to go with that,
Um,
with what?
Because that
This is the old.
Yeah, extending.
Is I closed the old one.
I was going.
I'm sorry.
Remember, we put the stuff in the state. We initialize the state. This is not state. In the component did not. We call the
We
fetch
can start by running.
with the URL they have put.
So,
Yeah.
With the
And the URL. So here you call the
no, it's not
fetch.
CD because
So
you don't have.
when the component is done
this
running, You fetch stuff.
the problem is that
When you fetch stuff, you say then. Because
you
maybe
need
it
to
will
go
take
to
some time.
your D
Then,
drive, right?
Inside the then, you get the result.
This
You
is
say this dot state, then result.
this is.
I think.
yeah, it's like
That state means you want to update the state that you already created here.
So I set the state inside after I mount. After the mount.
Not after the mount, but after the mount you call the API. After you mount, you call the
Yes.
API. And after the API is done, you say set state. But one thing you are putting ID loaded here, we have like an array of users, so we don't need ID
yes,
loaded.
right,
Remember?
yes.
It's just an array of users. Like you can see here, we have like login. It's like just an array. You know, it's an array of users.
Then you can again.
So you just say users, it's an array.
Okay.
This dot state
Okay,
equal.
here you are.
You are. It's an object, so be careful. You say equal here.
You have npm and you have yarn. You have yarn also here because of this file to see that you have yarn. So I just ran yarn.
But you like
It
you
does
remember an
basically the
object?
same as the npm.
What's the
stuff.
syntax of object outside of React?
So now it's installing
Can you
the
can you
dependencies,
can you go outside of React? Go to the browser for example,
and then you have everything.
and
that
open
you
a
need.
new console. You can see here. An object is like curly braces. You open, you close, and inside it there's key
So
values,
now
key values,
the-
key values. This is an object. So double check your syntax. No rush, no rush. Just,
No, because I have this one.
yes.
So now you
And
need to
key
start.
values, key
Oh, you
values,
start.
key values.
You start. Exactly.
So why this like this is if it's an array you say this, but it's not an array. So key value.
Okay.
Should I write keynote?
No, what I mean like for example like name, Eunice, first name, age, something.
Okay.
This is what I'm saying. So for example GitHub data, it's an array like this.
Okay.
Search keyword, it jump.
Okay.
You know what I
Now
mean?
you need to. I think you go back to the project.
So the user is.
So now
What is
It's just an empty array.
no. Go back to.
So is it? Let's enter
No,
it.
okay.
Whatever.
I think it's you need to. What
But this is not a key value. It's like users empty array. So
And
the other one.
is it like this? Okay, no.
yes, but you need just the
Uh,
this is an object. You can put space, you don't put it's up to you. It doesn't And this should be component did mount and not users because users. So after the component is done mounting, after the component is inside the inside the UI,
Because it's the same.
we run this and refresh GitHub and stuff.
Exactly.
And we remove this .state.sys because we are not passing it anything now. Remember?
Because this is the
Fetch GitHub.
This one?
No, fetch GitHub.
Yeah.
We are not passing it.
I think that's
Remember we delete
most
it. So we delete everything. We don't pass anything.
But should we do like ID or?
You need to check.
No, you need to.
And there,
No, not
what,
that
what
one.
do you mean by users?
It's the other one. Yes, that one. Exactly.
Yeah, but this is a function and
it
this
should
is
be
But I'm not sure exactly what is.
component mount.
yeah,
What's
like in the
Ah,
component
okay, you
fetch
need
the
to
user
get
and set
the members. Okay, you see what it so we need to change this one to and be the same as that word.
How can I?
Works. No, here works.
I don't know.
So you say fetch users
Works.
and
Yeah,
fetch
no,
user
I-
will return a promise. Fetch user will return a promise.
Works.
So I need a then.
Works.
You need it done at
And
the
then,
end.
and then it's
Here?
fetch hack your future. Yeah.
So what do I get now?
Then it's a function. Then you call them. You pass your function to them. It's like a callback. You call you then it's a function you call it. Then it's a
dash
function.
CPH,
Yeah, and you give it
and
your
then
callback.
members.
It's the callback that will be
And then you can
executed when
actually
you get the data.
delete
After I get all the data?
Yes, from the API.
Okay.
So you give a function here, which is a callback, like set timeout. Run this after a few seconds, and now you are saying run this when you will get the data. So you will pass a function here, and that function will receive as the first parameter the result. So this is what you should do.
We only
Function
need to
that will
vary
take-
the-
So you pass a function to them, a callback to them.
So, but the exercise basically is to fetch all the members of the
Oh,
Hacker
okay.
Future organization.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you now. So the result I can use inside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Precisely. So practice. You know what I mean?
I didn't.
I know, but I'm just saying that it's not because you don't know. It's not
I know,
because-
I know.
It's because like you just practice.
I thought
Like no one knows this when he will pump.
Search here.
I didn't have time, sorry. But I know, like, if I spend my time that.
Yeah, I'm just saying like no, don't feel overwhelmed with the law. Like it's fairly simple.
I'm cool.
Cool.
Cool, it's okay. Yeah. So. User input.
So, what's
how can I
happening?
get the
We
data
have
now?
an application.
So no,
that what it
before
does
getting
is
to
we have
data,
a button
I
called
need
users.
So just
Ma'am.
before setting state,
It has a link, so it's
try to
linking
say
to
like
another
for example
page,
response.
which is this one.
Yeah, I need a response.
Now
This is I'll just call it response. You can call it data. You can call it whatever you want. Like it's up to you. And try to console log it and see. You know
So the
what's the
exercise
result.
is
So you
to-
can
You either create the
try to run it and see what's the response. And after that, you know, state is not defined.
trigger the API call when you go to the other page. No?
Yeah, because it's this.
Or
not
what you
state.
can do, which would be easy.
I'm sorry, but you have a break now.
If you do here,
It's the lunch break. Okay.
Component, for example, component amount.
You want to
This is
continue
the
on
life
that?
cycle
No, we're getting.
function of React. Can you start the function?
This you have an array now.
And there you can
So
execute.
that array you put it inside the state, and you replace
there
the
you can
users.
execute this
I
API
put it
call.
inside the set state.
Yeah. And what I mean is like you go so response is just array. So here
Fetch
you have users. Instead of user you say users. It's like you should have like kind of meaningful names. It's really
Can you
important.
copy it? Save
You have a
it,
list of
copy
users. So you say users, it's response because response will replace
Save
the
it and
users.
copy. Save it also.
Not user but users. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you are
No,
replacing.
do not save it because it still saves the file. Command Control S. Yeah. See? Oh, but okay. Yeah, sorry. It's the other one. So
Now
the
you need
other
to
one,
render the
that's
users.
fine. If you go to this one.
Set state is not defined.
No,
Yeah,
no,
go
no,
back.
no, you don't copy. You only need to copy this one.
Yes.
Because
This
you're
not
going
set
to
state.
import. Yeah, because
Because
you're
you
going to
want
import.
you get this.
That's where you are. You need to go to the other one.
So.
Fetch members. Is there. But you need to. Yeah, they are here already. Actually. So. Fetch user. And the function. That is a function.
No,
So
if you go to the route,
exactly.
go to the index.js. No, in the code. In the code.
It's a life cycle method.
So you have like
basically
slash
a
and
function.
users. So users will render your
That
component.
is always
You
executed
know what I mean?
when a component is mounted. When a React component is mounted. When a React
So
component
now
is
you
mounted,
have
this
data
function is always
inside state. If you go to
That's
React,
I can't
Sorry?
understand. It's okay. Go on.
So, okay, you don't understand, but that I will explain. What is the
so
component?
you have browser router, you have router, you have app, and you have
So this-
router.
We have a
You
component.
have this component. So this component have state.
This is a
State
component.
you can see users.
And it's mounted
Okay,
because it's
so you can say this dot
mounted
state dot users and like look through it and render.
Oh, yes.
You can see the object here,
Mounted.
login ID, and render where you want.
It's mounted.
Okay, but you have a break.
It's
I'm
mounted.
sorry. Yeah. It's up to you, but you will go back at
Which means that
4:30.
when you, for example, press
3:35.
another component is mounted.
2:35.
Right?
You will get back here. Sorry, you will get back at 2:35.
So this is the. It's basically a string saying users. I mean, that's basically what this component is. And so when you see this here, that means that the component is mounted. So this component, this React component, which is called HYF. So yes, this component is mounted, and when that mounting happens,
Inside that.
it executes this function. You could have. Can you have the double slash? Can you do a console log? Yeah, do a console log. Yeah. So that you can see it.
I have
I don't know. This was this.
No, that should not be inside. Inside you just write mounted or
It's
something.
not a function.
Just yeah. Just put it the other way. Put the comments, you know, how the slashes. No, it should be inside the mounted. And yeah, this one. So
component is mounted will run this one.
Why do you say response?
This is how you save the all the users will be saved in this
Yeah,
so here.
So
component
basically
is
to fetch
all.
it, this is
This
from the API.
It's not mounted. It was mounted because we were there before. Yes. Okay. Okay. To make it more simple, and make it clear.
It's the
I'll just copy it and put it for your. No, all of it. You need all
All
of
of
it.
the.
Yeah.
Why don't you change
the
this color?
definition
to change the.
JSON,
Okay.
Oh, you put it in the API.
right?
No, I just put it before the.
So this,
you
it doesn't say mounted, right? Because why? Because we
I
are
put it here.
in the home page.
So
We
I
are
can
here.
just color it.
Okay. Yes.
You can.
We are here.
Yeah.
That's why we have routers, blah blah blah, all this happening. But when we press this, when we press this, we're going to be routing to users, to users.
at the JSON data.
And then that component is going to mount, and the users
Cool.
is this one.
Yeah.
You see here?
So now you are
Then
fixing.
body,
You
you
can
can consolidate that.
Link to
Users.
users.
Yeah. The thing is that we have
So
a
you don't
route.
need to console
This
log it.
sets the.
Where is
It says
Yeah, exactly. You have a route which is this.
What's your state?
Okay. As users.
Yeah, user.
Okay.
Renders.
Yeah.
How you render
Renders
this
This.
Yes. I can't understand now.
because the
Okay.
data
It's
is
defined all of
same
them
here,
as
right?
here.
here, exactly.
And it defines
Yeah, it's in
which
users.
which
This is how you
component.
It's rendered.
This
It's rendered in that path. So in this path, this component is going to be rendered.
then you map.
And this is
It's this one.
It goes to
This one. Right? So
No, I know.
which has the mounting. So
and then
when the component will be rendered,
using
Okay, it executes this function.
To say
Yes,
only
the
paragraphs of
Okay,
component.
it prints out this log.
the
So
users,
that's
they use user.
we don't have it here, but if you press there, if you press all
Have
users,
you made the echo?
It's like
Yes,
using
I can
So I
please.
said the
uh,
word
yes, yes,
mount
okay.
equal this
So-
function.
So you're using your display.
so then here, what you need to do is you need to fetch this members because we're getting from here.
Okay.
You need to. Can you use a curly bracket?
The sources they use.
Maybe
however,
because I
you're
didn't
not.
post
This one.
Yeah.
You need something.
I mean, maybe if you want to go and eat something because it's. Well,
I missed, the first three
Not
classes.
the new open.
And the fourth one as well. So,
there's an issue here. It's because we don't have a return.
Yeah.
Ah, that's okay.
Anyway. You have a return.
Because I opened these after like this one.
Yeah, this
Can
is
you have the
No, after this one.
the-
So this is the first. This is the
comma curly? No, yeah, no, but not there in the end of the.
And you close it.
This one?
Close it here.
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 Semicolon. Semicolon.
You need this one as well.
Okay.
this one.
You need another one.
Which is
Okay,
this
so
one.
here.
And you can close it.
But it says the problem is this one.
Yeah,
So here it will fetch the members, it will give a response. So here we need a response.
What's it?
Response. And we will.
Console.log this one.
Yeah, console.log response.
No.
You can write this.
But why does it say this one as well? No. You think
You are
I
using
You're like
TypeScript.
a rocket guy,
Why is this one? Where I go?
DS is TypeScript.
File.
No, not TypeScript file. But it's TypeScript linker. For some reason. Okay, that's a bit strange. But let's save it and see what happens.
Just run it.
Yes. Okay, there is an issue with the files. Okay, there is an issue. Okay, we're missing oh, we're not missing anything. Okay, I'm gonna get you people. Like, what? How do you use like the this one, the parentheses?
Parentheses.
Yeah. This one. Put the users inside the parentheses.
This is a it's retail.
Yeah, you return inside the parentheses.
Fetch numbers.
One more. Yeah, wait a second. Yeah, okay, I know what it's about. It's because
First.
the issue is this. Ah,
No, you need to use this.
then you have the yeah. Yes. You can have it. Yeah, exactly. Console log. Exactly. It will work now. Yeah. Now it will work. If you save it, you need to save it first. Refresh. Okay. Wait, no. Wait. Members. You have it.
Yes, we have.
For some reason, you know why it doesn't run? Because we need to, because that function returns a promise. No?
Yes.
So what we need to do is fetch members.
Raise.
Then all of this need to copy. We can continue later if you want because maybe you are hungry. No. Restart members. No, it should. Okay, it might be. The quotation marks like this, the same as two of them. No, not there. Two of them. No, one after the other. It is actually, it's giving you a response.
Yes, response.
But
we really need to.
yeah.
We need to find this.
Yeah, we can look at it after. So,
Okay. Yes. Take a peek.
Yeah.
Are you tired?
Me? No.
Tchau.
Mas agora,
Aí eu acho que vocês estão com.
isto é a última aula, isto é um bocado para coisas que eu tenho visto.
Hã?
Muito fácil para estudar.
Mas não achas que estão a correr bem?
Acho que sim, não sei se isto é a última aula.
If we wanna just talk to my friend at Elastic,
Yeah.
if you wanna use Elasticsearch, you can get a free Elasticsearch. So I mean that's not
Yeah.
then every team can get their own Elasticsearch if they want to. There's something called Elastic Cloud, which is like Elastic the company, they have their own cloud, but it's kind of expensive, but I mean, they run it, so you just give away for free and they run it. Then you guys figure out what to do after. Well, some of them cost like you can get other services that cost like $40 a month. But this one's not.
I think if it's $40 and then another $40 for mining and space.
Yeah, exactly. It's something like $100 a month.
Okay.
Is it? I was not sure. Is it the last class today?
Yeah.
Ah, already.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's 5 weeks.
Yes.
Routine.
No. Yeah, but it's good that's situations like that. It's not in the reverse. Like, you know, I will play that and you give it time.
You need help too?
Yes.
Okay. Let's check.
So
Yeah, nice.
all of us were here. Okay.
Oh, it's this thing. Okay.
We need to build our
It's like the hackers in the TV series, like, who do that? Nobody,
it's not
like-
true. It's not
Like,
true.
I know.
The hackers, they use like paper and they write like
They are
"Oh, I
like
should
that, you know,
like,
for
like writing code.
hours.
Writing code is the easiest part.
Yeah.
Once you have the idea, you know what I mean. Writing code is the easiest part. When you have an idea, I know what to put here in the paper. Like, okay, so I fetch this state here, and I pass it to another component. And this will display. I would just code it like that. So you should always start by.
It's a mindset of
Yeah.
This is the way we apply it.
a program.
You also need to think.
And
Yeah.
You need
also,
time for thinking, not typing.
and also
Yeah.
searching on Google.
Yeah, but even when you search for Google, you search for the actual solutions. But usually, like, to actually to have a problem, a clear problem in your mind, you need to write. So what's the problem that I'm solving? What do I want? After that, you can start searching. But searching any random thing that will not really help you. It will just make stuff complex, and you will article. So you should really have a clear idea about what do you want to solve. Like I want to fetch the users and list them. Now you have a clear idea about how to fetch and how to store. But saying, okay, I want list. But so it's really good to have like clear ideas.
And you won't get what you want. Maybe something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's better actually to have precisely to know what do you want. Like I want this and this and this. So you can actually achieve it. But if you don't know what you want, you can achieve anything. And could be like the thing that you want.
You probably won't achieve nothing.
Yeah.
What is that URL? Can you go to the API?
Here.
No, yeah.
There's this what is it called, external, so when you click,
I don't have it.
I like how it gave it to you. It's very cool. Makes like it. It's called highlight matching tag. Highlight one more.
Oh.
You know this one? Highlight matching words. So it's like. when you-
Oh yeah, no.
It's not.
I'm not really a big fan of VS Code. I use WebStorm a lot, mostly.
Web song?
Yes, you can see here I use WebStorm.
Really?
So
I used it. I hate the
I
UI of it.
I like it. It's
Yeah.
really like, especially like they have really smart JavaScript engine. Not engine, but it's really smart. Like how
It's
JavaScript.
much smarter than
It doesn't
VS Code.
Yeah,
work.
I think so.
But it's not as like what? You need to.
I want it.
Apply without.
We need. Yeah, we have. Is it all web? I have pictures.
Okay, so you have to.
Do you want to? Do you want to?
No,
This one is second.
Yeah. And I was just trying to follow for the sake of you could see the cost of yeah, but
Are you done? Are you done? Are you done? Are you done?
She has
I'm
a
almost done. I have some
just not set state.
small problems.
Yes, press it. No. And then you put the response.
Because you need to check. Maybe you're not closing something.
I checked.
Can you show me?
Close it in.
I think just because class is not
No.
closed,
Go down.
I go down now.
the
And
constructor.
then you need the curly
Go up. Just second component.
code
The
brackets
constructor.
inside there. Inside there. Yeah. Exactly.
Do I need to see it?
So you need to render the user stuff. Random.
So on this step is going to be used as well. Yeah.
This is the
The two dots, where is the two dots? Here. No. Two dots. No, right. So this, the
Yeah.
comma, the two dots, you know? Exactly. No, but yeah.
I was waiting for this because I'm working on my portfolio now.
Okay, cool.
And I want to get these stuff
Yeah,
as
dynamically.
components instead of pages.
Yeah.
You know, so I need to make like just one page,
Yeah.
like till
Yeah,
here,
me too.
and then I need to get.
Yeah, okay.
Another component.
Yeah.
No, it's not
So I
that
just need. I
It's
have
the
projects.
curve.
I need to.
No,
when I
probably
click on
right,
the project, I stay in
Wait.
this box,
It's
Yeah.
this
that one?
div,
No,
Yeah.
and inside this
no,
div,
no, it's not there, it's not there.
get
It's not there.
something
So
like from
it's
the
here.
left to slide,
The curly, okay, we
and
will
get the project there.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
And then have like an X here.
Okay, to close it, yes. It's like a drawer.
It's not very hard with the routing.
No, I don't think
But
so. No.
then we need,
The actual thing is just to build the.
I can build it.
Yeah, with
CSS,
HTML and CSS, yeah, animations.
But it's just
We
how,
need
the mentality of
closing,
getting it.
parentheses.
And I need the picture as well
Yes.
from the database.
Yes.
Right?
You can store just the URL inside the database instead of the picture itself.
Yeah.
You upload the picture in Drive or something, and you store the URL of the picture
So
from
now
Drive in the
you
database.
return-
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I can
You
store it
can
on
have
my
that.
website as
Yeah.
well.
You can store it in variables in your website. Yeah.
You could have, first you need
I will
to,
finish
you need to
it.
initialize.
I think we.
Create the initial state. You can just use the quick
master
way
I
is
told you
this. You
about.
can just use this one. Equal,
and then parentheses, no equal signs and parentheses. Yeah, for this, if you for users, yes, exactly.
That's very hard to prepare.
No, it's 2 dots.
I think we need to get. I spent like 45 minutes,
Yeah, it's important to.
so I will be doing that.
And
Did you render the users?
return this
Yeah,
dot state,
no,
this
you
dot
didn't.
state users. Dot net.
The render is empty, just returning string.
Okay. Now you could actually wait. Because here it gives you the option.
You know, you have the users, but you need to kind of render them.
Yeah, you can actually.
You map over the users and stuff.
Okay,
You know,
that's-
because it's an array, so you generate rows or allies for users. So let's do it together. We cannot spend the whole like.
What's hard is your keyboard. Your keyboard is hard. But it's going to.
Yeah, because we cannot really spend like we need to cover more stuff. So I will. The first thing that I will do, I will say props declare a constructor because I need state. Whenever you need state, you just like create a constructor. You call super props.
You can also have it this way. No, but you can also have that.
Okay, super props because you want to pass the props to the React component that you are extending from it, and you say this dot state. So I want the users, so I will just call it users here, and I will give it an empty array as a first thing, but it's empty. Okay. What I'm gonna do here is like I will say return. So I will say UL. Okay, and inside UL I will say this dot state dot users. I want to get this dot state dot users. Now it's just empty. Dot map, and I will have user here, and I will just return like an ally with the user. It will not really display anything now because users are just an empty array, but we can try. So we go to home, we have all users, it's empty. Okay? So now we need to load the data. So when we load the data, or where we put it in our code, which is when, it's the component did mount. What does it mean? It's like when you are done rendering, so there is component did mount. It's a method inside the class. When you are done rendering, React will call this method instead of you. There's like a callback. It's like when you give a callback to set timeout, but this is a class. You give a lot of callbacks to React. Component did mount, will unmount, and stuff like that. And this component will be called after your component will be on screen. So when the component will be done rendering, which is inside the browser, React will run this. So if you put console.log here or something, it will run after React will place it here on the screen. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna call fetch. I'm just gonna call fetch straight away. I will give it members here. Okay. Dot then. Response. Response. Dot JSON. Dot then. Now I converted this response to JSON. Now I have data. Let's call it data. So I will just console log the data. Okay. So I'll go this. No, 0. Sorry. So I'm here. I don't have any data or anything. If I will navigate there, I will have the data. So this fetch or this like API call will not run until we will go into this route. Make sense? So what we will do is instead of loading the data, we'll say we'll say this dot set state. Okay, I have a helper here. This dot set state, and I will give it users data. Now it's complaining because object. So I'm trying to render object instant ally. It doesn't work. So what I need user dot. So I can see in the API there is login. I will go here. I don't have anything. When I will navigate, I will have. Make sense? Is it clear? What I'm doing here, I just declare an empty state. In the component did mount, I fetch this stuff. In the then callback, I will update the state with the result that I got. And I simply iterate over my result here. Only thing, I just need to pass key here, remember? Like unique thing. So I would say key user.id. Okay? Is it clear? So now we have actually, you can see that we are navigating between two. We are loading. We are really like we are not really refreshing or something. It's really like cool because it's just an SPA single page application. You are handling the routing inside your browser, and you are not refreshing to get anything except if you want the data. So, but doesn't really need to refresh your page. Any questions about this?
Every time you go to the select the user, every time you click the user, it fetches the data.
Yes. So if you will say here like console.log fetching data. Okay. So we have this source index. I just want to remove all the. We are not using something here. Yeah, we are not using length, so I will delete it. Okay, so if you go to all users, they will be fetching data. You go back, delete it, all users, fetch data again. So every time you go to all users, because every time you navigate to all users, a React router will mount this component, will put it on the screen. When you leave it and you go to this component instead, this component will be deleted
From the screen.
from the screen, which means deleted from the your DOM or the React virtual DOM. So when you go to it, when you navigate to it again, it will be mounted again and stuff, and component did mount will be called. So every time you navigate and you go back to that component, you will call again component did mount. Okay? Let's see another pattern. So let's say component will end mount. So now we can actually make use of component will end mount. So whenever we leave the component and go to another route, so when we leave this component, go back, for example, and we go to another route, this component will be deleted and replaced by another one. And we said before that if a component will be removed from the screen, there is another callback, which is component will end mount. That will be. So let's try it. Console.log and mounting. Unmount. Simply. Okay. So we are fetching data. I'm on the screen, nothing. If I will go back, in mounting. So you can see this callback is called whenever your component will be removed from the screen.
This is the default behavior. This is the default thing. It's how it is working.
No, like what you are saying is true, but the way you think about it, it's like React will not do anything when you leave the component. It will just remove it from the screen. But if you want something to happen when your component will be removed from the screen, you put it here. You know what I mean? So your component, when you leave the component, it will be removed from the screen. This is not something you control because you move to another route, your component will be removed. But if you want to render something, which is like the case, you remember?
Set interval.
Hmm?
The case that we gave was the set interval and all that.
Yeah, let's do it. I will just copy that component and put it in our code here. So I will have. I think it's the third class. No. Second maybe. Yeah, the clock. So we have a clock component. You remember this one? I don't think some of you weren't here actually. So I will just remove like this is the joy of React. You can actually copy a component from another project and paste it, and it will work. Like this is super cool. So I've copied this code and I will create a new component called new file clock.js. Okay, we will get back to this code. Okay, so now I will create another route for this. So I will say clock or countdown. It will be the import clock from component / clock. Is it clear? I'm importing the. We will take a look at the clock component, but I'm just trying to render it. So here I will say clock. Okay. So if I will navigate to countdown, I should get the clock. So this, let's add it to the home. So in the home, let's say link, another link here. Countdown. Just okay. So I have another here. So I have all users and countdown. So if I will click on countdown, you can see here I have like sorry. Can you see? It's like from the current time and it will keep going up. You remember when we did this every so how it's working actually is when the component will be mounted on screen, we will create an interval. Set interval. All of you remember set interval. And I will get the new time. So every time every second, because you can see here that every second I will be run not me, but the engine will be running this function. Okay? So this function will be run every second. So we get the new time. Okay? We get the new time. And after that, we set and we change the time. So every second we get a new time. Every second we get a new time. And we call set state and the new time will be updated. And the new time here is by default is just the current time. So we get the current time here, and when we are done rendering, every second we update the time. Every second we update the time. Clear? For all of you? Clear?
Yes.
I'm just like, and here I'm displaying like the I'm just displaying the time. Okay. Now let's say done mounting. Okay. Let's say I want to leave to the home component. When you leave to the home component, this component will mount will run, or it will be called by React, and it will clear the interval because we don't want the interval to be. Let's delete it and see. Okay. Okay, we have countdown. Let's go to home, like that would be cool. Not home, sorry, slash. And we go to countdown. We have the countdown. Let's get back. Oh, we have a warning. can't call set state or force update on an unmounted component. So my component is already unmounted. It's removed. Unmount means like get removed from the screen. But I'm still trying to call set state on it. Why? Because this interval will be running even if my component will be unmounted. Because this set interval is not managed by my component. It's managed by JavaScript. So JavaScript will be running this every 1 second, even if this component will be removed. Make sense? So it will be my responsibility to stop it when I will remove this component. Is it clear, David, or need more clarification?
So we render.
Yeah, we render.
Render will return the set statement time.
Just the time, like it's the time from the
What's the
state.
time? We call on the mount. We call
When it's
this.
done, no, when it's done mounting, not the
Okay.
when it's done mounting, not on the mount.
It's kind of saved in the RAM, so you need to disable it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's running. in
It's
the RAM
running.
always.
It's running. It's running. So you need to say here, when you will unmount,
Yeah.
please clear this interval, which means stop it. Okay? Make sense? And we store the ID here, so we can access it here. This .id. It's not in the state or something because we don't want to re-render because of the ID. We want just to keep the ID somewhere, so we can actually reference it after.
What if I have more than one thing like running?
You can use for
synchronous?
you can for example do this ID like ID2. Like, it's up to you. Like
I know. I'm looking for the easy way.
like you know, like it's just like a variable. ID could be anything. It's a variable. It's not a variable. It's a class property or an instance property. So you can say like timer ID or anything. Okay, and you need to change it here too. You can see here in action why we need the end mount. Okay.
How do I know if this component is causing problem or running in the background? Is there a way? Like
Usually React will. Did you see what like when we try to do this? When you delete it, not an error but a warning. So if you will say countdown, React will be warning you that you are trying to do something. Otherwise, you need to have patterns. So you need to structure your code in some sense that you will understand what's happening. So that's also sometimes you cannot really see the memory until you hit it. And also you need to profile your component. If you see that your application, you can say performance, and like these are some tools to actually see like how your code is running and stuff. Of course, this is like advanced stuff, but you can always do better. Make sense? Is it clear? Now we will go to an interesting part. So when we will have the users here, all users, when you click on one of these users, I want to make it a link. Not really a link that will take me to somewhere, but it's like this link. It's like client-side link, where I can actually, when I click this, I will go to another page in my website and list all the repositories for this user. Is it clear? So this user has repositories, this one is the same, Marcia is the same, Luna is the same. So I want to, so the first step is to actually add a new route. Okay? So I will say users / I need the username. So which user you want to
this state, but
so which user you want to actually view it. So I don't know here. I don't know which. So maybe it's like maybe it's Marcy, maybe it's me. So I don't know which user will be like passed to me here. It's like dynamic. It's like Facebook. When you go to Facebook and you say Yunus Minin, like for example, this will render my profile. If you put Yunus here, it will render another profile. If you will put like I don't know like Hugo here, it will render another profile. So it's like this part is dynamic. You know what I mean? It's like this part is dynamic, but this part is static. So the way we do this in React Router, you say like you will save it into a variable. How you will do that? So you say, let's say you have username, but this username, if you will go here, let's say username, it will be literally username, this one. It will be literally username. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a string.
It's a string, that is username. No, I want something dynamic here. I want to place anything here. Okay? I want to change it. Hugo, Yunus, I don't know, like any name here. So the way I do that is to put like a comma in before. So this is the syntax. So this will be dynamic. So this will not be username literally. This will be anything after user. It will extract it and give it to you as a variable. So if you click this, I will make. So let's construct it first. Let's construct it first and see like. So I will go here, and within each one I will create a link instead of just text. So I will have a link here. So the way I don't use like an A tag. I don't use an A tag, but I use the link from React Router. Okay? So you say from React Router done, as we discussed, and you say link. No, sorry. You say link, capital, because it's a React component every time. So you say link. So the process is fairly easy. Let's say you have an href. You say href, like this. It's an A tag, and you put, for example, here user.login. Okay, and you put here users slash. You have a dynamic fragment here, so we need to insert a variable. So you can use actually plus here or something. So the way we'll do it, we will do this. Because it's React, so we will do this. Is it clear? I would say go to user slash whatever user login. If I will see it here, it's an A tag.
Under the hood, yeah, under the hood is.
Yeah, I'm just like converting between A and it's the same thing. So I have links here. Okay, this is like, if you can see these links. The first one is going to user slash Abdurrahman. Second one is going to Emir. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But these actually will load the page. Can you see? It will load all the page. So the way you do it, actually, you place it by the link by React Router. Okay? And instead of href, you put 2. And this is it. So remember, a link and 2 instead of href. And now we can actually go to users. And just one thing, I will put slash here. Can you see? I'm going to Abdurrahman, Emil. You can see here, Marcy. It should be Marcy here. And Nuna, it should be Nuna. Clear? Now this part is dynamic, as you can see. It's not static. It changed within the user that we click. Is it clear what I'm saying?
How would you guys now extend this, for example? How would you extend this?
For the repository, we want
No, but like, do you have an idea how you would extend, I mean, what Yunus did until now? How would you extend in terms of the React app?
Yeah.
So how?
You have a component called user and
Precisely. You will have a component called user, and inside it you can display wherever you want. Maybe you want to load repositories. Maybe you don't want to load repositories. Maybe you just want to display hello Eunice, hello something. Up to you. It's like someone will pay you to build this stuff, and they will say build this instead of this. But you just need to keep, as Hugo said, the workflow. It's the same. You create a component, like attach it to this route. But before, something we need to handle, which is like, so we said here we are not going to users, but just one user. So I will name it user here. It's up to you. You can name it. You can just put it here. Like, it's up to you. Like, up to you. I can do this. So now, but I need to change it here too. So it's not going to users. It's going to slash your username. Because here we are accessing. So this means that this fragment will be dynamic. This could be anything here. You know what I mean? So now we need to create a component. Instead of user here, we'll just call it user. Okay? We will import it from here. We will list it in the index. Sorry. User, and we will import it. We still didn't create it. It should be imported from here. So where we should create it? Inside the component. New file, user.js. Import React from React. Okay. Export default user. It's not really cool that we will name it user, because user could be anything. Like, it's so generic. So you should give your variables, your components, your functions, anything that it has a name and default name. It's better here if we name it like Hulk Future user or GitHub user or something. It's better. But it's the sake of simplicity. We are just trying to make stuff simple. So I will have class user extends react component render. I don't know why it's disappointing. I will just return I'm a user. Okay, this should work. So if we will go to users, which will load all the users, now you can see something interesting here. I'm a user is loaded after users. You know what's happening now? Like this component user, which returning this, it's loading here. It's loading with users. So this should be just like loading if we go to username. But this and this are loading at the same time. Why? Like this is such a confusion. Okay, it's something kind of.
It's because of the path.
Yeah, it's because of the path. Yeah. So you can say username. We said that username could be anything. So it could be users. Yeah. You know what I mean? So these two are, because like the way React Router works, it's like it will get path and try to match it. And this match actually everything. Users and username. If we will say countdown, I'm a user. It will be even in countdown. Why? Because this is a variable. So this could be this. It's a variable. You know what I mean?
it's interpreting everything as slash.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like interpreting everything as a slash. So if you put countdown here, this will also render. Because this is a variable. You told me that I can render everything. So it's not exclusive. You can render this and this and this and this at the same time. Especially if you remove the exact. You can remove almost, you can actually render almost everything. But the way it works, this will capture everything. So it will. So the way you actually eliminate that, you don't really eliminate. But if you want to render just one thing at a time, you don't want to like both like things rendering at the same time, you use something called switch. So you can see here in the documentation there is switch. So how switch will work? It's like you wrap all your route in a switch component, and it will run one of them. It will not like allow all the components to match. You know what I mean? So if this will match, it will not check the others. If this will match, it will not check the others. It will run. It will display one at a time. It will not let all the matching routes. It will let just one route match and display. Make sense? So let's use the switch. It's also easy. You just import it from here, and you actually wrap your route. So here you can say switch. Okay, so now one of them will run instead of all of them. Let's see if that will solve our problem or not. Yes, it solved our problem, but now we introduce another. So let's check users. Now we have only users. We don't have the IME user anymore because only this is rendering. It matches, so I don't need to check the others. But if we will say countdown, it will say I'm a user. That means that this will match, and we will stop. We will not check if this will match. So the most like the special ones. So these are specials because they are static. You need to put them in the top. And if no route from the static routes will match, you go to the dynamic routes that will match. You know what I mean? Is it clear or it's confusing? It's a little bit confusing.
Why is it confusing? What is the part that is confusing? Because we have had a lot of new teams.
No, of course. But is it something
No,
specific?
no.
It's just because it's a lot of things. Okay.
But is it clear what we are doing here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, like you need to practice more so you can.
Yes.
But we are just like trying to give you the idea. So when you read the documentation, you will not be lost. Oh, what's this? You will know the common errors. So here, it's like you can even apply it in real life. Like I don't know. Let's find like an example. So if you will, I don't know. If you have, for example, like you are programming something and you want to send it to, like you say, bring me an object. The car will go, and the first object or the robot will go. And the first object that it will meet, it will just bring it to you. So it will be a computer. But let's say you want to bring an object if you will not find a computer and a cup. So you don't say bring me an object. You say bring me a cup if you will not find. Bring me a computer. If you will not find, bring me an object. So you put the general stuff at the end and not in the beginning. Otherwise, the general stuff will overlap and will take everything. You know what I mean? So you specify the specialized stuff, like computer cup. If you don't find anything, like bring me the general stuff, which is, for example, this here, like any string. It's like bring me any string. But these are no users countdown. So if you will put this after the username, it will be always like matches the username because it's dynamic and it matches everything. So you put the special things on the top and the general form in the. Make sense? So we are here. Okay? So when you load this, all users, you can click on one of these users and you will go to this component. I want to display the name of the user. From where I can get the name of the user?
So the user in the user page.
Yeah, but I'm not on the user page anymore. This is like another component.
You can pass props.
No, but can you see in this page there is the username here? Where? In the URL. I can get it from the URL. How? You don't need to code the URL, but React Router will give you all the information about the URL. Because you kind of pass it, because this component is not rendering the user. So you cannot pass props to this component. They are siblings. This or this. If HackRefuter is rendering user, you can pass props to it. But when this component, when we are in this component, when you will navigate to the other one, the first one will disappear. So you cannot say, oh, get it from the other component. Because the other component, it's gone. But the other components give us something interesting, which is here in the route. From where, like you can see here, user login. Okay. So this user login,
You can also pair it so that maybe okay, let's continue.
yeah, we can talk about query permission, but yeah. So this is like the this is the matched fragment. We call it like matched fragment. So this will be dynamic. So in this case will be Abdurrahman. If we go to another user, this will be another thing. So you can imagine this as a variable, and you can get it in the component. Okay. Let's do something interesting. Let's console.log the props. You can see here, there is few props, there is match, there is location, there is history, there is static count, a lot of props. From where we are getting these props? Like this component is so simple, like that's crazy. Okay, who's rendering? So every time you say that you have like weird props, think about something. Who is rendering my component? Who's rendering this user component? Can you remember who's rendering this component? No, of course React will render.
Render everything. That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That's right. But like a bit closer. You know, like we are all humans, but we are talking about nationalities. He's from Portugal or from Algeria, he's Danish. So you cannot say, oh, he's from the world. We are all from the world, but we need specific things.
There's value for argument.
Huh?
It's free of users component.
No, you can see Harke Futures is not rendering anything here. React Router, precisely. So if you can see here, React Router is responsible for rendering our components. So who's rendering user and cloak and Harke Future? It's React Router. So when React Router will render a component, it will give it some props, some information about the routes. Make sense? So these props here or here, they are passed by React Router. So you can imagine it like, I don't know, like you can imagine that the route component. You can imagine that the route component. It's like it's rendering my component like this. User. So this is like inside the route component. It's like user, which is my component here, and it will do like match equals something and location equals something. But you are not doing this. React Router is doing that for you. And what these props are about, it's just some information about the route. We can see the props here. So we have three objects: history, location, match. So history, it's something about like HTML5 history. So I don't know if you want to read about it, but I really advise you to.
React Router is also called, I don't know if you guys in the stuff that you've read and heard about it, a high order component. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Yeah.
A high order component basically, it's a component that it's like a parent component. Normally it's rendering most of the other components in your app. React Router renders most of the other components in your app. That's why when you have an app, one of the most parent components would be the React Router.
We're getting it from the module when we import.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't code it. Someone else coded it.
We just use it.
Yeah. I also advise you to read the code. Read the code. When you have like free time, you want to read.
But I think actually regarding the React Router, this documentation for practicing, how is it called? React training.
Yeah, you can see here the route component, the switch component, the link component. It should be around here. The link is inside the other package, but you can see the route component and router. So these are actually code written by someone else, so it's not magic. Okay, you can see here it's just one line. It's 131. This is the route component. Okay, so this is like it's not something fancy. when you have free time, try to read this code. It will be difficult for me. I think it's difficult for everyone. But if you spend like 10 minutes, cup of coffee, like just like every day, just try to drink and read some code. Okay? It's not fancy. This is some code written by someone else. Read about the browser history, please. It's something really interesting. I've tagged you all, so when you have time. Let's get back to our code. So we had the history. So history is something related to the browser. History. We have location. Location is location where I am, or the browser. Where is the browser in terms of the URL? So we have path name slash Abdurrahman. So this is the path name slash Abdurrahman. This is called the path name. I think all of you know. If we have like slash Facebook slash profile slash image, this would be the path name. Okay. This is search. This is hash. Search if you have query. So if you will have like q equal hello or username. Sorry. You can see here, search is q.username. So search is just what if you want to access the search queries. And you have hash. Hash is like a different way of handling browser. You can read about it after in the link that I have put. And we have history, we have location. History is something related to the browser. We have location. Location is where I am. It's like my location. I have the path, I have the query parameters and stuff. The most important thing I think is match. So match contains the matching stuff. So here, React Auto will try to match. So here it will match this Abdurrahman to username. So if we will pass Yunus 1234, Yunus 1234, it will be username. So this is kind of variable that will match what contains what you will put here. Clear?
Yes.
And how you get the value of that variable in the match? You can have is exact, yes, because we are putting exact here. That's it. It's not fancy. You have the params. Can you see? In this dot props, this dot props, dot match, dot params, it will contain all the parameters. So this thing, it's called username. If we will name it user, it will be user here. It's like a key value. Make sense? So it will be like a key called wherever you put here.
And the values.
And the value is what's the matched actually. So let's put it username like before. And here now we can say this dot props dot match. Okay? So it's path, URL is exact params. I'm interested in params. So if I will say params, it's an object. Okay? We can, so why it's an object? Because you can have actually a lot of params. So you can say username, let's say friends, say friends, friend, so we can do like, for example, let's say Yunus slash friends slash let's say who. Okay, this will not really match precisely like this one.
You put two
Yeah,
values of-
yeah, no, it's working. Just it was like a real. So you can see here username and friend.
Okay.
So there is like this one is static, and these two values are dynamic. You can see here this is dynamic, and in the middle it's static. So if I will change this and put it friends too, it will not work because I'm saying match something. After that, it should be friends. After that, it matches something. And the first and the third thing, put them in variables and give it to. This is, for example, like you can compare prices. You can say, for example, like iPhone 4, iPhone X, and you can say here like product 1, product 2. Compare. Of course, here it's compare. So I have product 1 compare. So I can fetch data related to iPhone 1. So I can pass anything. I can have like here Galaxy S9. Yeah. And it would be product 2 is Galaxy S9. And I can like I don't know, like this is an idea about like comparing products or something. But you understand you can even match here, like for example like another thing. So you can see here, you can say here another thing. I don't know, like match maybe. What we can match maybe country. I want to compare, but in a specific country. So I can say here, let's say I don't know, Denmark. Say DK. Product 1, product 2, country. You understand what I'm saying? It's like just if you have like this is like a lot of websites like Facebook and stuff. So if you go to I don't know if you go to
GSM Arena.
Hmm?
There is a website called GSM Arena.
Comparing the mobile phones.
yeah, let's say this one. I don't know how to really. I don't know any website where it has like complex navigation, but you get the idea. It's clear.
Yes.
So we will get back to the simplest version, which is usually, and we will have only one variable. We iPhone 4 it will match like username. It's iPhone 4. So we will put username. We will not put anything. We will put all users. So you can see here I have users. So I can say this dot username. So const username equal username, and I can print it here. Can see? So instead of really doing this, we can just return div span or p I'm just rendering it. So if I go here, all users, you can see. I'm just rendering where it's. Is it clear?
Where is it picking the name from? Let's look.
It's this dot props dot match dot params dot the key.
Yeah.
Clear? And you can actually imagine how much scenarios you can cover with this. Like you can build really cool stuff. Let's do one more thing. Let's fetch all the repositories of a specific user. Okay? So we have the username. We can fetch information about that user using the endpoint that Hugo discussed last time. Okay? So the same process. We'll say constructor props super props this dot state. Let's call user data. Okay. I will say null. You know null, all of you. So it doesn't. It's empty. It's not empty, but it doesn't exist, kind of. So and component did mount. when we go to this route and it's done mounting, React will run our callback component did mount. So if we name this component mount 2 or give it another name, React will not call it. So it's like a special name. It's like a callback. But instead of giving it to React, React is saying name it this thing and I will pick it for you. It's like put it in this address or in this name. So I will say, so what's the API for the users? It's like GitHub, yeah, users, and you put something here. So I will say fetch. I will do this because it's dynamic, so fetch. And here I will put a dynamic fragment. So I will say all this. I want the username. So instead of, I can say this. Is it clear what I'm doing here? I get the username and I put it in the URL. Then this will return a response. I want it as JSON, so I need to parse it or tell the browser to parse it for me. So say response dot JSON. No. Okay. Now it's parsed, so I do the fetch. When the fetch is done, I make the I parse the data, or I make it as JSON object, and after that I can say then. Now I will give it my callback, and I will say I have something here. I will call it data. I don't know what I will get. I will console.log it and see. I don't know what I get. I don't remember the API. So you can see here we have users. When we navigate, we say this is the user that we get. It's login, ID, node ID, avatar. Okay, we go to none. This is okay. So this is the object that we get. We get this username here, and we put it inside the URL, and we fetch the data. But we didn't do any set state or anything. So now I will say this dot set state. Set state. I want to change the user data. User data inside the state. It's called user data, and I will give it data as the new thing, as the value. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Clear? So now instead of displaying username here, I will keep displaying username, but I will say this dot state dot user data. Okay, I will do this. So I will render some stuff here. So I would say another div. Otherwise, I will just run loading. I will just put like hello. Clear what I'm doing here? I'm saying if so, this dot data dot user data. If it's false, which is the case when you render the component, it's null. Null will be false. You know that. So if this will be false, if this will be true, that means that I already have the data. So I will display the data here. Otherwise, I will put loading. Clear? So here I need to put the actual stuff, the image or something or username. But I'm just trying to experiment. Loading hello. Loading hello. So I will make the network. I will disable the cache. I will make slow. Okay, that's really slow. That's really slow. Come on. So now I will make it slow. 3G. Fetching data. Can you see? We are waiting. Now let's click on one of them. Loading, 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 loading. Hello. Hello means we got the data. Make sense? We can say here if this dot equal null. But null is already either true. Like, yeah, so we don't need. So here we'll not render just diff. I will render an image. Image, source. Source it will, but it will be what exactly the source?
You get it from the file.
We can say net. We can say network.
Avatar,
We can say, yeah, we can say here avatar URL.
For example, a nice thing way for you guys to do that, just theoretical perspective. You guys could have a function that would render an image, that would render whatever.
We can do that
And,
actually.
and then you just execute the function. You pass the data to the function, and in that way you have it a more functional and more distributed.
We can that will be better actually. You want to do that? You want to make it clean? You want to extract this to a separate component?
Even
Let's say we will render here user.
Yeah, you can also have it.
Yeah, or we can. Should we just do
Have
it?
it in a function and have it in a new component. There's many.
So let's say this dot render user. Okay. No. So we say render user. This will return image. Okay. And actually we can pass here, we can pass the data, we can say this dot state dot user data. But we can actually also access it from here. So we can say const. We discussed this before. This dot state. Is this clear? For all of you? All of you? All of you. We are extracting something from the state. So you can say user data dot avatar.
Do you need to bind this?
Actually, we are calling it ourselves. It's good to bind it. But now we are not really passing it to anyone. We just like calling it here. But it's a good practice to bind it or to use the. So loading. We are Abdurrahman here. Cool. We got to. Cool. Is it clear? Any questions so far? Any questions about passing and that? He's looking at me like this.
No, it's I'm happy, man. I'm happy. I didn't think it's that clear, like to do something real.
Yeah, it's
I
so.
thought it's so complicated.
No. Like once you get the props, you get the state
Much
correctly and stuff. You will discover the whole power.
I wouldn't do it from the first time by myself. But
Yeah, no one will do
I
it from the
understand that how it's done.
Yeah, no one will do it from the first time. It's a matter
How
of.
can we make the code cleaner than this? Can we like take the things from component that mount and put them somewhere and just put one word inside it?
Actually, one thing like
Or it's too much?
I will extract this.
Yeah.
So because maybe another component in my application will
Needs the
needs to use.
data.
So we did this last time.
Yeah.
We had GitHub Fetch
Yeah, we had
in
just
an
one.
API like file. So we put like so that's could be a solution. Second thing could be actually.
Just-
It's super simple like the component. Yeah, maybe extracting this. So instead of returning div and stuff, this is really an anti-pattern. So whenever you have like logic and like fetch and you can see there is logic here, state and stuff. You should not put any markup. So you just put you call like a
component.
GitHub user,
Yeah.
and you pass to it data. That's really better. That's really I think it's better. but always it's really like kind of,
we're just to understand the thing.
it depends on your case. Maybe you think this is better, it will save you time. Depends on your case.
The good thing about React, it's not so opinionated as other frameworks. So of course they tell you like the good practice and a way to go, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it differently and it will still work. So you can also do it, in another way.
Works in many ways.
Because a lot of frameworks actually they will give you like one way to like for example fetching the data here. You can do it wherever you want. You just call your function, but there is no opinions which function to use to fetch the data and stuff and where and how to organize it. It's up to you.
It's not the same way in Angular.
No, in Angular you have services and you have stuff and you need to kind of. But it's not a bad thing. It's up to you if you want flexibility. Or some companies they don't want flexible stuff. They want really strict. Like, depends. Like really, like, this is an open debate.
Yeah.
No one can really actually
It's
answer.
nice.
Even within React, there's people preferring Redux, Mobex, context. Like so, you should experiment.
It's nice to have a clean code. It's like
Yeah.
it represents you. I feel
Yeah.
like in the
It's really like it represents you. Yeah.
even if you're a mess in your life, but just like
True.
anyway, clean code.
True. So any questions like so far, like anything, like because I think this is the last class.
I feel you have a question.
No, not more.
But do you?
Maybe I'll get to it.
I have a question. Do you guys? What is the next step from here? Do you know? What,
Yeah.
What
Actually, I think you will have a session about GitHub, so branching and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So you can work on projects at the same time, and after that, the week after that, you will start working on the Capstone project, which is the project. They will have the project to do.
Okay.
So in the project, you will build an API, you will build a React app, you will group all the knowledge that you've been gathering so far until here.
There's two things. There is one thing called Flux.
Flux, yes, and
There
Redux.
is there is one for test and
Yeah,
there is
just-
one for organizing the.
Yeah,
all the stuff.
just
We
just
talk
it's
about
just
that.
testing library. Yeah, but the problem is time.
Yeah.
Like we cannot really cover all this
Yeah.
stuff. But just is testing framework.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you test your stuff.
After you.
Test the components.
Yeah.
Automated test.
Okay.
Like there are,
Actually, just basically runs it. It's a test runner.
No, like just
It's called just. It's
Yeah,
like
it's created by Facebook,
just
and it's just
Like
it's basically a test run.
a module to test it. But I don't know test the component.
Yeah.
you can test everything you want, literally.
But like it's easy to learn this stuff on YouTube. Maybe.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
not a big
It's
thing.
not. It's not.
Yeah, let's say
That's what I'm asking.
yeah, like just go to documentation.
Yeah.
And if you want more advanced patterns, was conferences people like doing, or there is senior developers working with you, they will have patterns. Let's say you have a sum a plus b function that returns a plus b. You want to test it. You say test add 1 plus 2 to equal 3, and you say expect the sum to be 3. If someone will change the code here, the sum here will not be 3, so this test will break. So you can have like really you'll be confident about which code is working, which code is not working, and stuff. This is mainly testing. You expect something to be this way. You expect this component to render this. You expect this button when you click it to this happen. You know what I mean? This is testing. And Flux, it's kind of a big thing, but Flux is just an architecture. I told you before about extracting all the state and putting in one object, separate object. Remember me talking about this?
Or folders like.
No, means like not having state inside your components,
Right.
but having like your components getting state from a separate object. This is kind of Flux. There is a lot of dispatchers and all that. There is a lot of like stuff to do, but
Yeah,
it's
you should not look into that, to be honest.
yeah.
No.
You
Yes.
can look into Redux.
No. Yeah.
Redux is something.
Yeah.
Is a state management library, but
Yeah.
Flux, honestly.
Flux is just an idea.
Yeah.
Flux is just an idea. Like you will not use Flux in your code. Like you think about Flux, you know. But Redux is the most famous
There
Flux
was also
implementation.
a library called Flux. I don't know what's the state of that. Actually.
Yeah, I don't think someone is using it. Like
Maybe
it was used.
Yeah.
You need to use testing in like
No,
unit
no.
testing.
I'm not sure. Depends on how you will set up the project, but I'm not sure. Any more questions?
Can you show us an example of a production code you're working on in your company?
Please.
I'm just curious.